morning. Today's Wednesday. Today I woke up. I said I'm going to be happy. I don't care what's going on around me. I'm going to embrace the notion of happiness today. And I would like everyone that's following me on social media to do the same. Forgive that person that hurt you the most. Let that pain go. Take the initiative on your business. If you have to change something like stop smoking or anything of that nature, do it. Today's the day.
The morning sun cast gentle rays across North Lauderdale on April 13th, 2022. Jennifer Baloney moved through her morning routine with practiced efficiency, preparing breakfast, checking homework, and gathering backpacks. Her 15-year-old daughter Anastasia, affectionately known as Nana, helped her younger brothers get ready for school. The ordinary Wednesday held no warning of the horror about to unfold. At approximately 9 a.m., Jennifer stepped outside her townhouse on Tam O'Shanter Boulevard, keys in hand, with Anastasia and her sons following closely behind. She had just ended a call with her mother, mentioning that her ex-husband Andre Anglin was outside. Perhaps she felt a flicker of concern, but there was no time to react. Within moments, the peaceful morning shattered. Gunshots echoed through the neighborhood. 2 lives ended in an instant. 2 young boys witnessed what no child should ever see. Have you ever noticed subtle warning signs in a relationship that made you uncomfortable? The tragedy that befell Jennifer and Anastasia might have been prevented if certain red flags had been recognized earlier. As we explore this devastating story, consider what signals we should never ignore. Deputies from the Broward Sheriff's Office arrived at the townhouse complex to find a scene of absolute devastation. Jennifer and Anastasia lay motionless on the pavement, their bodies approximately 15 yards apart. The family car stood with its doors flung open, school backpacks scattered nearby, evidence of lives violently interrupted during the most mundane of morning routines. According to witness statements, Andre Anglin had been waiting for the family to emerge. He approached Jennifer first, firing multiple shots at close range. When Anastasia screamed in horror, he turned the weapon on her, silencing the teenager forever. The 2 young boys, already seated in the vehicle, witnessed everything but miraculously remained physically unharmed. Blood stained the concrete as investigators cordoned off the area with yellow tape. Neighbors peered from windows and doorways, many still in pajamas, drawn by the commotion and sirens. Crime scene technicians meticulously documented every detail: shell casings, blood spatter patterns, and the precise positions of the victims. The most haunting aspect of the scene was what it represented: a mother and daughter, simply trying to start their day, caught in the final act of a domestic tragedy that had been building for years. Their car, meant to take them to school and work, instead became the backdrop for their final moments. As news of the double homicide spread through North Lauderdale, shock rippled through the community. Neighbors who had waved to Jennifer just days earlier gathered in stunned clusters, sharing fragments of information and collective grief. School officials at Anastasia's high school immediately activated crisis response protocols, bringing in counselors to support students and staff processing the unthinkable loss of their classmate. Jennifer's 2 surviving sons were quickly taken into protective custody, their young minds forever altered by what they had witnessed. Family members rushed to the scene, but were held back by officers securing the perimeter. The boy's grandmother collapsed upon hearing the news, requiring medical attention herself. Within hours, the Broward Sheriff's Office issued an urgent alert identifying Andre Anglin as the primary suspect. His photograph appeared on local news broadcasts, social media, and digital billboards across South Florida. Armed and dangerous, warnings accompanied his image as a county-wide manhunt commenced. By nightfall, a makeshift memorial began forming near the crime scene. Candles flickered in the darkness as strangers and friends alike left flowers, stuffed animals, and handwritten notes. A community vigil was hastily organized, drawing hundreds of residents united in grief and outrage. The senseless violence had torn a hole in the fabric of their neighborhood, one that would never fully heal. Jennifer Baloney radiated warmth and determination in equal measure. At 32, she had already weathered significant storms, yet maintained what friends described as a positive and beautiful soul. Born to Haitian immigrant parents who instilled strong values of family, education, and perseverance, Jennifer carried these principles throughout her life. Those who knew her best spoke of her infectious laugh and unwavering loyalty. Jennifer was the friend you could call at 3 in the morning, and she'd show up no questions asked, recalled her childhood friend Marissa. This generosity extended beyond her inner circle. Jennifer regularly organized community drives for school supplies and holiday gifts for families in need. Despite standing only 5'3", Jennifer possessed a commanding presence that drew people to her. She balanced vulnerability with strength, often sharing her struggles to help others feel less alone in theirs. Her home reflected her personality: vibrant colors, family photos covering nearly every surface, and an always-stocked kitchen ready to feed whoever walked through the door. Jennifer's resilience became her defining characteristic. Having faced domestic abuse, financial hardships, and the challenges of single parenthood, she refused to be defined by her difficulties. Instead, as her sister later told mourners, Jennifer transformed pain into purpose every single day of her life. Jennifer's entrepreneurial spirit found its expression in Bellini Financial Solutions, the tax preparation business she built from scratch in 2018. What began as helping friends with tax returns from her dining room table evolved into a respected local business with a small office space and seasonal staff during tax season. Her approach to business mirrored her personal values: integrity, accessibility, and genuine care for clients. Jennifer specialized in helping small business owners and families navigate complex tax situations, often charging reduced rates for single parents and elderly clients on fixed incomes. She wasn't just about the numbers, explained a longtime client. Jennifer took time to educate you about your finances. Despite lacking formal business training, Jennifer's natural aptitude for organization and her relentless work ethic drove her success. She took night courses in accounting and business management while raising 3 children, often studying late into the night after her kids were asleep. Her business provided not just financial independence, but a profound sense of accomplishment that fueled her confidence in other areas of life. Motherhood was Jennifer's greatest joy and priority. She structured her entire life, from business hours to personal goals, around being present for Anastasia and her 2 sons. School events, sports games, and doctor appointments were non-negotiable commitments in her calendar, often requiring creative scheduling and occasional all-nighters to meet work deadlines. Jennifer fostered open communication with her children, creating daily rituals like rose and thorn dinner conversations where everyone shared the best and worst parts of their day. She documented their milestones meticulously in journals she kept for each child, planning to gift them on their 18th birthdays.
7:36 right now, and a suspect wanted in connection with a double homicide has been found dead. This case all started last Wednesday when 2 victims were found shot to death outside of their townhome along the 7900 block of Tam O'Shanter Boulevard in North Lauderdale. Those victims seen here identified as Jennifer Bellini and her daughter, nicknamed Nana. Police say the daughter's father, Andre Anglin, was the only suspect in the shooting. BSO now saying Anglin shot himself inside of a bathroom at a Circle K along Sunrise Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale.
Her parenting philosophy balanced nurturing with accountability. "I'm raising future adults, not permanent children," she often told family members. This approach was especially evident in her relationship with Anastasia, whom she was gradually mentoring in both life skills and business acumen. The mother-daughter bond transcended typical parent-child dynamics, evolving into a profound friendship built on mutual respect and unwavering support. When Jennifer finalized her divorce from Andre Anglin in 2020, she approached her new reality with characteristic determination. Within 6 months, she had secured a mortgage on the North Lauderdale townhouse, creating a stable environment for her children after years of upheaval. She painted each room herself, involving the children in choosing colors for their bedrooms, a symbolic fresh start for the family. Financial independence became her mission. Jennifer expanded her business hours, built a professional website, and networked tirelessly at community events. She established new family traditions, like Sunday afternoon picnics and monthly movie nights, creating positive memories to replace painful ones. Though Jennifer maintained civil communication with Andre for the children's sake, she established clear boundaries. She attended therapy sessions to process the trauma of her marriage and joined a support group for domestic violence survivors. She was blossoming. Her mother later recalled, "For the first time in years, Jennifer was living on her terms, making plans for a future that was entirely her own." Anastasia Nana Baloney embodied the perfect blend of her mother's strength and a uniqueness entirely her own. At 15, she possessed a maturity that often surprised adults who met her. With her mother's warm brown eyes and infectious laugh, Nana carried herself with quiet confidence, her signature braids often adorned with colorful beads that announced her presence before she entered a room. Friends described Anastasia as the peacemaker in their group, the one who mediated conflicts and found common ground when opinions divided. Her empathy extended beyond her inner circle. She volunteered weekly at a local senior center, reading to residents and organizing craft activities. She had an old soul, her grandmother would later say through tears at the memorial service. Anastasia's dreams reflected her practical nature, combined with boundless ambition. She spoke of becoming an immigration attorney, inspired by her grandparents' journey to America and the struggles they faced. Her journal, found after her death, contained detailed plans for college applications, scholarship research, and a list titled, "Ways I'll Change the World." Family meant everything to Anastasia. She served as her mother's confidant and right hand, stepping into a partnership role that helped the household function smoothly. Sunday afternoons often found her cooking traditional Haitian dishes alongside her grandmother, preserving cultural connections while creating new memories with her younger brothers. At North Lauderdale High School, Anastasia maintained a near-perfect grade point average while participating in debate club, student government, and the school newspaper. Teachers consistently noted her thoughtful contributions to class discussions and willingness to help struggling classmates. Her English teacher, Ms. Reynolds, kept an essay Anastasia wrote about immigrant rights, describing it as college-level analysis from a remarkably compassionate perspective. Anastasia had already begun researching pre-law programs at several Florida universities, creating spreadsheets, comparing scholarship opportunities, and campus diversity statistics. She planned to apply for summer internships at local law firms before her senior year. Her guidance counselor had recently nominated her for a prestigious statewide leadership program. Beyond academics, Anastasia was developing a small business creating custom-designed sneakers, selling them through social media to save for college expenses. She had recently opened a business checking account with her mother's guidance, learning financial management skills that reflected her practical approach to achieving her dreams. Each pair of shoes represented both artistic expression and her entrepreneurial spirit, qualities that would never reach their full potential. Anastasia embraced her role as big sister with natural grace and responsibility. To her brothers, aged 7 and 9, she was part caretaker, part playmate, and full-time protector. Mornings found her braiding hair, checking homework, and preparing breakfast when Jennifer had early client meetings. Afternoons often involved supervising backyard soccer games while simultaneously completing her own assignments. The boys looked to Anastasia as their interpreter of the world's complexities. She explained everything from math problems to why the sky changes colors at sunset with endless patience. When nightmares struck, it was often Anastasia's bed they sought for comfort before disturbing their hard-working mother. Most remarkable was Anastasia's ability to shield her brothers from the tension that occasionally surfaced during their father's visits. She developed subtle signals to redirect conversations and created distractions when arguments threatened. "She shouldn't have had to be that buffer," Jennifer's sister later observed. But she did it instinctively, always putting their emotional safety first. This protective instinct extended to the tragic morning when she screamed her final act, drawing attention away from her brothers in the car. Jennifer and Andre's story began like countless teenage romances, notes passed in high school hallways, homecoming dances, and promises of forever. They met during their sophomore year at Coral Springs High in 2005, when Jennifer tutored Andre in algebra. Friends recalled their immediate chemistry and how Andre's charisma complemented Jennifer's more reserved nature. After graduation, while Jennifer pursued community college classes, Andre struggled to find direction. They married when Jennifer was 20, already pregnant with Anastasia. The early years held moments of genuine happiness: Andre's playfulness with baby Anastasia, family barbecues, and ambitious conversations about their future together. The first fractures appeared when Andre couldn't maintain steady employment. His initial frustration gradually transformed into resentment, particularly as Jennifer's determination propelled her forward academically and professionally. What began as occasional outbursts evolved into a pattern of emotional manipulation. The charming high school boyfriend slowly disappeared, replaced by a man whose insecurities manifested as control, jealousy, and eventually violence. The progression from emotional to physical abuse followed a textbook pattern that Jennifer didn't recognize until years into her marriage. It began with subtle control: Andre questioning her whereabouts, criticizing her clothing choices, and gradually isolating her from friends. Financial control followed. Andre insisted on managing their money despite his sporadic employment, often leaving Jennifer to beg for grocery funds. By 2014, the verbal abuse escalated to physical intimidation. Jennifer's sister recalled incidents where Andre punched walls beside Jennifer's head, destroyed her personal belongings, and threatened self-harm when she attempted to leave. The first documented physical assault occurred in 2016, when Andre pushed Jennifer down a short flight of stairs during an argument about family finances. Jennifer's mother noticed bruises that Jennifer attempted to hide with makeup and long sleeves, regardless of Florida's heat. When confronted, Jennifer minimized the incidents, explaining them away as accidents or misunderstandings. Court records later revealed that police had responded to their residence 7 times between 2016 and 2018. The most dangerous escalation came when Andre began involving the children in his manipulation. He told Anastasia that her mother didn't really love them, threatened to take the children away permanently, and once held the boys hostage in their bedroom for hours when Jennifer was late returning from work. This psychological warfare created an atmosphere of constant tension and fear that permeated every aspect of family life. Jennifer's first significant step toward protection came in February 2018, when Andre threatened to kill her during an argument witnessed by Anastasia. The teenager secretly recorded the incident on her phone and convinced her mother to contact authorities. The resulting temporary restraining order provided a brief respite from Andre's presence, though he violated the boundaries repeatedly through text messages and drive-bys of their home. When the court date arrived to make the order permanent, Jennifer didn't appear. Friends later learned that Andre had alternated between threats and promises of change, creating the familiar cycle of fear and hope that kept Jennifer trapped. The judge dismissed the case, removing the only legal protection Jennifer had secured. Court documents revealed that the family court system failed to follow up adequately. Despite the serious nature of the initial complaint, no welfare check was conducted when Jennifer abandoned the permanent order. The gap in the system's safety net, combined with Jennifer's ambivalence about completely cutting ties with her children's father, created the dangerous circumstances that would ultimately prove fatal. Are you recognizing warning signs in your own relationship or in someone close to you? The patterns in Jennifer's story aren't rare. As we continue exploring this tragedy, consider this. What would you do if someone confided in you about abuse? Your response could literally save lives. Let me know your thoughts below. Between 2018 and 2020, Jennifer attempted to leave Andre 5 separate times. Each departure followed the same pattern. A particularly frightening incident would prompt her to pack essentials and flee with the children to her mother's home. Days or weeks would pass before Andre's campaign to win her back began with tearful apologies, promises of therapy, and occasional periods of genuine improvement. Jennifer's Aunt Balanda later explained, "Each time she returned, she believed it would be different. Hope is both the blessing and curse of domestic violence victims." The psychological toll of this cycle left Jennifer exhausted and confused, questioning her own perceptions and decisions. What finally broke the pattern was Andre's increasingly erratic behavior around the children. When he shoved Anastasia during an argument in late 2019, Jennifer filed for divorce the next day. Even then, complete separation proved challenging. Andre used co-parenting as an opportunity to maintain control, withholding child support, showing up unannounced, and continuing to manipulate the children's emotions, tactics that continued until the final, fatal confrontation. In the 2 weeks preceding the murders, Andre Anglin's behavior shifted from his usual pattern of manipulation to something more desperate and unpredictable. According to text messages later recovered from Jennifer's phone, Andre had lost his apartment due to non-payment and was temporarily staying with a cousin. His messages to Jennifer began as requests for financial help, but quickly escalated to demands that she allow him to move back into his home. Jennifer's co-worker recalled her increasing anxiety during this period. She would jump whenever her phone buzzed, the colleague stated. She started taking calls outside where we couldn't hear, but we could see her face change. Andre began appearing unannounced at Jennifer's workplace, creating scenes that embarrassed her professionally and frightened her staff. On April 10th, just 3 days before the murders, Andre confronted Jennifer in the parking lot of her children's school. Witnesses reported seeing him grab her arm forcefully while shouting that she had ruined his life. A school security officer intervened, but Jennifer declined to file a report, explaining that it would only make things worse. That evening, Andre sent 37 text messages in a single hour, alternating between declarations of love and explicit threats. The most alarming development came when Andre began contacting Jennifer's family members, telling them she was mentally unstable and turning the children against him. A clear attempt to isolate her from her support system. Despite mounting pressure, Jennifer maintained firm boundaries regarding her relationship with Andre. Phone records show she responded to his housing crisis with practical solutions rather than emotional engagement. She researched affordable apartments in the area, contacted a friend who managed rental properties, and even offered to pay the security deposit for a new place, all while making it explicitly clear that moving back in with her was not an option. "I care about you as the father of my children," she wrote in one message, "but our marriage is over. I will help you find stability because that's what our kids need from both of us." This balanced approach reflected Jennifer's compassionate nature while protecting the new life she had built. Jennifer confided in her therapist about the situation during their April 11th session. Notes from this appointment indicate they discussed safety planning and the possibility of revisiting legal protection options. Jennifer expressed concern about antagonizing Andre, but agreed to document all interactions and avoid meeting him alone. She scheduled a consultation with a family law attorney for what would have been April 14th, 1 day too late. The final warning signs before the tragedy manifested in ways that seemed concerning, but not immediately life-threatening to those around Jennifer. Andre's behavior exhibited classic pre-violence indicators that experts later identified as extreme danger signals. He began giving away personal possessions to friends, behavior often associated with suicide planning or preparation for drastic action. His social media activity ceased completely on April 11th, an unusual silence for someone typically active online. A co-worker reported that Andre had asked strange questions about what happens to kids when both parents are gone. Most alarming was Andre's purchase of a handgun from a private seller on April 12th, circumventing the waiting period required by licensed dealers. The transaction, discovered during the subsequent investigation, occurred just 18 hours before the murders. Jennifer sensed the escalating danger. She asked a neighbor to watch for unfamiliar vehicles near her home and changed her morning routine, leaving for work and school at different times each day. She installed a doorbell camera, but hadn't yet activated the system when Andre made his final fatal appearance.
Developing this noon, 2 people found dead in a South Florida townhouse complex. Good afternoon. Deputies say someone opened fire.
Let's get right to 7's Brandon Byer in North Lauderdale with what we know so far. Brandon?
Lorena, Ethan, this is a sad one out here in North Lauderdale. Broward Sheriff's Office says that they found 2 people shot to death when they got out here at about 9 o'clock this morning. That's when the first call came, and as you can see from these pictures here on the ground, just a massive investigation at this point. I want to show you some pictures from above. Skyforce hovering above shortly after all this broke, again just after 9 o'clock or so this morning. Again, Sheriff's Office saying that 2 people found dead outside a townhome here.
April 13th began like any Wednesday in the Bologna household. Jennifer woke at 5:30, prepared lunches, and reviewed homework while the children dressed for school. At 8:45, she called her mother while gathering her things for the day ahead. "Mom, I see Andre outside," Jennifer said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "He's just sitting in his car watching the house." Her mother urged caution, suggesting Jennifer call the police, but Jennifer responded that she didn't want to escalate the situation. "The boys are already in the car. We'll just leave quickly and head straight to school." Those were Jennifer's final words to her mother, a conversation that ended at 8:52, approximately 8 minutes before the first gunshots were reported. Within hours of the double homicide, the Broward Sheriff's Office mobilized its most experienced personnel to track down Andre Anglin. Sheriff Gregory Toney personally authorized the deployment of the department's specialized Viper unit, a team trained specifically to apprehend violent fugitives. Digital billboards across 3 counties displayed Anglin's photograph and vehicle description, while patrol units conducted grid searches of areas he was known to frequent. Investigators obtained emergency warrants for Anglin's phone records, bank accounts, and social media profiles. His last cell phone ping placed him near the Florida Turnpike heading north, but the device went offline shortly after the murders, suggesting he had either destroyed or abandoned it to avoid tracking. The FBI joined the manhunt on day 2, providing technical assistance and additional manpower. Agents stationed at bus terminals, train stations, and airports throughout South Florida checked surveillance footage and passenger manifests. Border Patrol and Coast Guard units received alerts in case Anglin attempted to flee the country. Law enforcement officials described the operation as one of the most intensive manhunts in recent county history, reflecting both the heinous nature of the crime and the perceived ongoing threat to public safety. The North Lauderdale community transformed grief into action during the 5-day search for Andre Anglin. Residents organized neighborhood watch patrols, sharing information through dedicated social media groups that grew to include thousands of members. Local businesses displayed wanted posters in their windows and on digital signs. Jennifer's tax clients created a reward fund that quickly reached $25,000 for information leading to Anglin's capture. Anonymous tips flooded the sheriff's office hotline, over 300 in the first 48 hours alone. Though many leads proved false, the collective vigilance kept pressure on the investigation and demonstrated the community's determination to see justice served. Most poignantly, parents from Anastasia's school organized childcare for families attending vigils and search efforts, embodying the protective spirit that Jennifer had shown toward her own children. On April 18th, 5 days after the murders, the manhunt reached its conclusion at a Circle K gas station in Fort Lauderdale, approximately 12 miles from the crime scene. A night shift employee recognized Anglin from news reports when he entered the store at approximately 2:15 a.m. The clerk activated a silent alarm while maintaining normal interaction with the suspect. Deputies arrived within minutes, establishing a perimeter around the building. Security footage showed Anglin noticing police vehicles through the store window before quickly moving toward the restroom area. When officers announced their presence, Anglin barricaded himself inside the single-occupancy bathroom. Crisis negotiators attempted to establish communication for nearly 40 minutes without success. At 3:27 a.m., a single gunshot echoed from within the restroom. The tactical team breached the door to find Andre Anglin dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head, using the same weapon forensics would later confirm was used to kill Jennifer and Anastasia. A 3-page handwritten note was recovered from Anglin's pocket. While authorities never released its full contents, Sheriff Toney confirmed it contained admissions of guilt but no genuine remorse, and attempted to blame the victim for his actions. The note included instructions for his funeral, but made no mention of his surviving sons or any provisions for their future, a final act of emotional abandonment that mirrored his behavior throughout their lives. Andre Anglin's suicide closed the case legally, but left a complicated legacy of justice for those affected. Jennifer's family expressed mixed emotions, relief that the threat was eliminated and the community could begin healing, yet frustration that Anglin escaped formal accountability through the court system. He chose his exit, just like he chose everything else selfishly, Balanda Baloney stated at a press conference. The justice system failed Jennifer twice. First when her restraining order wasn't enforced, and again when he denied everyone the closure of a trial. For the two young boys who lost their mother, sister, and father in a single week, justice remains an abstract concept overshadowed by grief and trauma. Their ongoing therapy focuses not on punishment or closure, but on rebuilding lives shattered by one man's final, unforgivable assertion of control. In the aftermath of unimaginable tragedy, Jennifer's sons, 7 and 9 years old, faced a future without their mother, sister, and father. The boys initially stayed with their maternal grandmother, surrounded by extended family, who shielded them from media attention while providing emotional support. Child psychologists specializing in trauma began working with them immediately, using play therapy and art expression to help process what they had witnessed. By the 1-year anniversary of the murders, the boys had established a new routine with their aunt as legal guardian. School counselors reported gradual improvement in their emotional regulation and academic engagement, though nightmares and anxiety remain persistent challenges. Their therapy continues to address complex grief, survivor's guilt, and fear of abandonment. A trust fund established in Jennifer and Anastasia's names has received over $70,000 in donations, designated for the boys' education and ongoing mental health care. While financial support cannot restore what was lost, it ensures that Jennifer's dreams for her sons' futures remain possible despite her absence. Their journey toward healing represents both the devastating long-term impact of domestic violence and the resilience of children supported by community care. North Lauderdale transformed grief into action following the murders. The Jennifer and Anastasia Bologna Foundation launched in August 2022, focusing on domestic violence awareness and victim support. Local businesses contributed to an annual scholarship in Anastasia's name for students pursuing careers in family law or social work. The townhouse complex where the murders occurred installed enhanced security measures and hosts monthly community safety meetings. Jennifer's tax preparation business continues operations under her former assistant's management, with a portion of proceeds supporting domestic violence shelters. Most significantly, attendance at domestic violence prevention workshops throughout Broward County has increased by 60% since the tragedy, suggesting that Jennifer and Anastasia's story has awakened many to dangers previously ignored or minimized in their own relationships. Domestic violence experts point to several critical lessons from Jennifer's story. First, the most dangerous period in abusive relationships is during separation or divorce, when the abuser's control is threatened. Safety planning should intensify during these transitions, including consideration of temporary relocation. Second, documentation is crucial. Saving threatening messages, reporting all incidents to police, and following through with restraining orders creates a paper trail that can help authorities recognize escalating danger. Finally, community vigilance matters. Neighbors, co-workers, and family members who recognize warning signs can provide crucial support and intervention. Resources like the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 800-799-7233, offer confidential guidance for both victims and concerned bystanders, potentially preventing tragedies before they occur. If this story affected you, please like and share to raise awareness about domestic violence warning signs. Your comment could help someone recognize danger in their own situation. Subscribe for more stories that save lives through education and awareness. Together, we can prevent tragedies like Jennifer and Anastasia's from happening again.